Hi, welcome to this first look at WRC 10. So this is the PC version I'm looking at here, and since its release last week I've been spending quite a bit of time with it. In fact, it's the only title I've been playing over the entire weekend, and I just wanted to run through from my first impressions the plus points and the negative points that I've personally come across. I will be coming back to do a fuller review, but as always what I want to do is give the title time to get patched, updated, and also because it is a massive title, for me to get some more time with it under my belt. So I'm going to start off with the area that is perhaps most important to me personally, and that's the physics. Now, much is discussed about the physics of the WRC series, particularly in comparison to Dirt Rally and Dirt Rally 2.0, with most of the mainstream gaming media seeming to think that DR2 is the more realistic title, and I think this unfortunately stems back to the old myth that if it's harder it's more realistic when it comes to driving sims. I'm being perfectly honest, that's not the case. There's a number of things that DR2 still gets wrong in its physics. They've all been wrong for a very long time, that makes your life harder, that isn't more realistic. Now, personally, I think on gravel the two are very much of a muchness, but when it comes to tarmac, to be blunt, WRC is a significant step ahead of Dirt Rally 2.0. Tarmac physics have always been the Dirt Rally series' weak point and remain so, whereas WRC has pulled these forward. And weirdly, I actually think one of the biggest potential reasons for this misconception is one of the first cars that most people start off within the WRC series, and that's the junior WRC cars, which are front-wheel drive. And they corner extremely aggressively, and you can use the throttle quite heavily to pull the car around corners, particularly on tarmac, but on gravel as well. And I think this kind of reaction is why a lot of people think, ooh, it's not particularly realistic. Whereas in fact these things are fitted with incredibly well developed and advanced limited slip differentials, and that's exactly what a good, well balanced, well controlled LSD will do to a front wheel drive car. Hell, if you talk to anybody that's driven on track or even quickly on road with even a road car with a well set up limited slip diff, they will tell you exactly the same thing. You can do things with those that you cannot come close to doing with a bog standard front wheel drive road car that doesn't have a limited slip differential fitted to it. They do not drive in a way that most people without experience of these kind of cars and this kind of technology have any understanding of it. And WRC 10 gets this right, and to be blunt, Dirt Rally 2 doesn't. So it's a big difference, and for me it's a big tick in the WRC 10 box. We then come to weather, and once again we've got the variable weather conditions back in, with some really nice transitions in them, and particularly on the longer stages this works extremely well. The other thing I like about WRC 10 is it doesn't overplay the bad weather card. It's something the Korea in Dirt Rally 2.0 does massively to my mind, and you've got a much more nuanced balance within WRC 10, and to be blunt, one that works better with the stages itself. You've then got the expanded career mode, and we've got some new rallies in here. We've got some DLC coming, which is going to be free, which brings again more new rallies to the series, which is going to be good, and they're coming between now and January. The main things I like about the career and season mode is that you now have full-length events, including shakedowns, which bring it up to a total, if my memory serves me, of 10 stages per rally, which is brilliant. And something I've wanted for a long time, and it's a first in the WRC series, and then something which I believe is a first in any official rally title, and that is the ability to not just pull your tyre strategy together, but to cross-match tyres and change tyres between each stage. And this is really important because it is a fundamental tool of the rally driver in the real world. And to be able to do it in a title for the first time is absolutely brilliant, particularly the ability to cross-match. So what I mean by that is, say you're driving on the Monty and you know a stage is going to have some ice and snow on it, you may want to put one snow tyre on each, say, front, right and rear left, and then a tarmac tyre on the opposite two corners. Sounds weird, but it's actually what rally drivers do because it gives you the best compromise over the actual entirety of the stage and the differing conditions, and it works extremely well. It also allows you to play around with your tyres and move them around because you carry two spares as well in between stages. It's a really, really, really important part, and this to me is absolutely brilliant. It's the part that isn't, again, being jumped up and down about and talked about a lot in the mainstream gaming press, but for me is actually the most fundamental and important change in WRC 10 compared to the past titles. We then come on to the historic content, and the historic content and the bespoke historic stages and the tweaked versions of those with greater crowds, etc., is what has hit the mainstream gaming press, mainly because it's what the developers have pushed out into the media and focused on, and it is really good, but there is a but I'll come back to on that. But I really enjoy what we got in there. In fact, the sheer content level in the title is absolutely brilliant. There's huge amounts in here, and what you've got to think is you had to buy multiple season passes to get this level of content in Dirt Rally 2.0, and you're getting the lot in the title for less than a full price release, which I think is absolutely brilliant, particularly as the post go live DLC is all free as well. We then come on to the negatives. The audio is a bit hit and miss at launch. It's good for historics, but some of the more modern stuff, it doesn't sound to my ears as good as it did in WRC 9. Graphics haven't taken a major leap forward, and in all honesty, in some of the stages, I think, and I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done a direct back-to-back, but I actually think the anti-aliasing is worse on 10 than it was on 9. Hopefully that will get patched. You then have this really weird interaction between career mode, historic sides of the things. Historic is not purely standalone. I discovered this quite early on and it's quite frustrating. Within historic, some of it has to be opened up in career mode, and I do mean career mode, not the season mode. You have to go into the full, I want to run a team, blah blah blah, career mode side of things to start unlocking certain elements of this historic content, which frustrated the hell out of me because I was 2.5 rallies into a season before I realised this, and I've got to go back and start again. Really frustrating. Also, you can't run the My Team equivalent until you've actually completed all of the historic content, which is a baffling choice to make, particularly given how good the livery editor is based on my play around with it so far. You've then got a major sticking point for me is my USB handbrake doesn't work. Well, it does, but it thinks it's a stick on a gamepad and won't allow me to use it at the same time as my wheel and pedals. So if I pull on the handbrake, it stops my wheels and pedals reacting until I do a gear shift, and then it all clicks back into play, and it doesn't activate the handbrake anyway. So I'm back to using my H-pattern shifter as a handbrake until that one gets patched. And then finally, have had a couple of instances where I've lost force feedback halfway through a stage. Get to the end of the stage and restart the next stage and it's back and it's absolutely fine. But it's not every stage. In fact, it's quite rare, but it has happened to me 2 or 3 times, which is enough to make me think there's an issue here. So I'm hoping that a lot of this stuff gets patched. We've already had one patch released for the title already, which is good. But overall, my thoughts around WRC 10 are extremely positive. There's far more in here to like than there is to dislike. The bits that are important for me which is the physics and the changes to the full immersion of full-length events and the ability to play around with your tyres and cross-match more than outweigh the negatives at the present moment. And with WRC 9, a lot of the day one or week one or month one issues were patched fairly quickly, which was good news, so I'm hoping that will be the same for this. So there we go, that's my initial thoughts on WRC 10. If you've picked it up, let me know what you think down below, or if you've got any specific titles, questions around the title that you want me to have a play around with and mess around with, please do drop them in the comments down below, and if I can, I will. So thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content gets uploaded. Thanks very much. Take care.